Hi, everyone. This is Country Music News International, and I've got the pleasure today of speaking to Ms. Erin Duvall. Is that
Hi,
is
everybody.
that pronounced correctly?
Correct. Erin Duvall. Erin Duvall. Hi,
There
Erin.
you go. And Erin is way over there in Texas. Which part of Texas are you in?
I'm in the north part, so I live in Dallas,
Right.
Texas.
I know you're involved in loads and loads and loads of different things, but the one thing I find really impressive is putting together books. So
Oh,
I thought I'd start with the books and
sure.
specifically your little character or a character, or Auntie E.
Auntie
So,
E.
yeah,
That's correct. Yeah, depending on where you are in the world, Auntie E, Auntie E, it just depends
yeah.
on how Southern you want to call it. Auntie E is a special part of my heart. It's a project I've worked on for a really, really long time. It's an animated character that teaches children about music all around the world. And we've written me, have written three different books and 10 songs, and there's 20 characters, and we're in the middle of lots of talks and negotiations about getting her a little bit more widespread into the world. So we're really
Mhm.
excited about that. But I love to write. So I was a journalism major at the University of Texas, and writing is my happy spot. It's kind of how I put my elation on the page, but also work through whatever trials and tribulations I may be going through at the time. And it's a process that I do every single day. So I wake up every day and I write every morning, whether it's 5 minutes or if it's an hour. I really try and hammer out and get better every single day at writing. So the children's book area is super fun because there's always something to teach kids and wonderful messages to weave into the stories. And yeah, Auntie E is a big, big part of my heart, and I'm excited for more people to get to know about her. Auntie E is me. She looks like me. She's my voice. She's, um, all the best parts of my experiences.
So do you actually see this as a kind of educational, almost like program, as it were, or is it just like good stories you can tell kids?
See all of the above,
Yeah.
actually. So, my hopes and dreams is for it to obviously become a series or a movie. I think a series makes the most sense because I think with music, there's so much to teach and there's so much to learn, and you really never have a ceiling in regards to running out of ideas. And there's always something to teach musically, but there's always something to teach from a value perspective. The world moves so fast nowadays, and I think the statistics that are based around music education is astonishing. And the graduation rates are much higher if a child is involved in music program in their school. And so really we're just trying to get back to the basics of teaching music at a really young age because it was so important to me. Um, and I did musical theater all the way through, but I was also a cheerleader. So anywhere I could perform, I was really finding all those different avenues. But I know that if the music education departments within the school system didn't exist like they did as a child, I'd probably be a very different person.
Yeah, let's concentrate a little bit more on music. What did you start with, or how did you start with music?
My parents would say, like Lady Gaga says, I was born this way. I came out of the womb performing. I was so amused. I'm a singer, first and foremost. That is what my skill is in. That is what all of my studies are in. But I also play the piano and I also play the guitar. But if we're going to rank them, I'm definitely more well versed in the singing department.
Listening to some of your music, a lot of it sounds very bluesy to me.
And I think that has a lot to do with where I'm from and all the different musical influences I've had along the way. I mean, for example, Tracy Chapman performed last night with Luke Combs on the Grammys, and nobody's really
Oh,
seen her since 2009. I mean, she was a huge part of my like upbringing and sounds. Natalie Maines from the Chicks and Susan Tedeschi, who's, an incredible blues singer.
yeah.
So there's some people that really heavily influence my sound and my style, but it's still country to its core due to its instrumentation, then also the storytelling. So the way that I write is very country driven. And I grew up in country. So, George Strait, Alan Jackson, Martina
Very
McBride,
good.
Shania Twain, Faith Hill, Tim McGraw, all of those. Those were the sounds of my childhood.
So getting to your songwriting, as you were mentioning, songwriting in country music tends to be a sort of storytelling exercise. How do you kind of approach that? I mean, I know some people who sit down at a table, maybe in the morning with an open book, a blank page, and this is where it kind of just freaks me out. They can actually write stuff. I mean, I just look at the blank page and that's about as far as I get.
So it depends on the day. Some days I do that. Some days I sit down and there's a blank page, and next thing you know, there's 7 pages that are full. I tend to use my computer because my brain moves so fast that my fingers can follow. But if I'm like handwriting, sometimes I get a little behind. But yeah, I tend to do that. I also, like I said, I'm really well practiced in my songwriting. I really sit down and I work on it every single day. And some days I'm like, this is total crap and I'm going to toss it. And then some days I'm like, wow, this one sentence is interesting and I'm going to hang on to it. I also have a running log of lyrics that I always have. So I'll be like, if I hear something or if I see something and it just strikes me interesting and spurs like a line, I will constantly keep this log going. But everything inspires me. And I think that's what's so interesting. I could be like driving down the street and see a tree that's twisted kind of weird. And then I'll be like, wow, that tree was so interesting. Why was it like that? And then it'll bring up a memory in my mind. And the next thing you know, I've created an analogy between the tree and my own life. And my brain works on overtime. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I sometimes wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning and hear melodies and roll over and hit voice memo and sing into my phone. And trust me, my producers think those are some of the funniest audios ever because I'm like half asleep. But it's interesting. It is just, you always have to be willing to listen and look around, because at the end of the day, if you're a writer, everything's inspiring. So it's about paying attention.
Do you ever go down the kind of collaborative route? Do you ever work with other people, particularly on lyric writing?
I do. Yeah, absolutely. I'm a big believer in everybody's better when they work together. I really do. I think that you have to be selective of who you choose to work with, but you also have to be willing and open to try and work with anybody and everybody that's open to the idea. So absolutely, yes. I a lot of times with my producers, I will write a lot of stuff and then we'll get together and we will rewrite a lot of stuff because they may hear something differently than I did. And then the collaborative effort makes it that much better. So absolutely, I'm always open to working with people. I have worked with a ton of people and I love the idea. I think, like I said, you're better when you're open to working with others.
So what are you actually up to at the moment, musically speaking?
Oh, musically speaking. It's this week. You're catching me on a wild week in the world of Erin Duvall. I own my own foundation. It's called Twice the Love Foundation. I'm a single mom of 4 kids, like I said before. And when I decided to come back out with this current album, I really wanted to pay it forward. I grew up with 2 really strong examples of giving back and doing charitable work. So I started my own foundation, and it raises money for single parents, both men and women alike. And our foundation event is in 8 days, rehearsing every day. And then I might be singing the national anthem at something this weekend now on Saturday. That just popped up. So, and then the event's on Tuesday. So there's just a ton going on top of being a mom and, doing my normal 9 to 5 with my kids, or not. What would that be? 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. every day.
Yeah, it's more like it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm a fiver. I wake up real early and then I go to bed, hopefully, usually between 10 and 11. And yeah, so it's just the many faces of Erin are very present this week, as we would say.
Okay. I was going to say, actually, where do you find the time to do all this and look after 4 kids?
I am very good at multitasking, and perhaps, maybe my superpower is the fact that I can compartmentalize and also manage to stay afloat while doing so many different things. I'm really good at being able to bounce between one thing to the next, but then also still staying present in the particular moment that I'm in. It is not for everybody. It is not something I would recommend for everybody. But I think maybe being the fourth of five kids and always growing up with so much going on, you learn pretty quickly how to manage so many different things at once.
Yeah, well, I look forward to the album coming out on Friday.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, One by One is a really special album. I wrote it during my divorce. And it was a super cathartic process. I mean, my producer said that obviously watching me in the studio, they could see me practically healing as I was getting everything out onto paper. They said it was guttural to watch me. Some of it's all very personal and some of it's uplifting and the whole entire album. So the theory behind One by One is when I moved home, someone had told me that my breakers were all shut off as a coping mechanism to keep me afloat. And I, for whatever reason, that analogy really stood with me. And then as I started to heal per se and become my true self again and find my way through healthy relationships with, my family, my children, my friends, with myself, most importantly, I began to heal and those breakers started to turn back on one by one. So the entire album is a relational album and it's about all the different people in this experience that I have gone through help put me back together one by one.
Well, that sounds like a good sort of point to bring this to a close.
Yes, sir.
So I'm going to say thank you once again for taking the time to speak to us. Always much appreciated.
I so appreciate your time. This has been fun.
So I wish you all the best with the album and all these myriad projects you're involved in. As I say, I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
And hopefully you'll make it over to Europe again.
I would love to. And I would come back to Germany. Germany's beautiful.
Yes, it is.
It is so pretty. I'll definitely call you if I come.
Yes, please do.
Thank you,
okay,
sir.
You take care.
All right, you too. Have a great day.
Yeah, bye.
Bye.